guys, oops, welcome to Punky's World. This is our daily genealogy video. I thought for this video I would talk about some of the strange discoveries that we've made. Like, how in the world did James Christensen become James Cosgrove? We still don't know. We just know he did, and he married a cousin. Did Great Aunt Josie Hemingway suffer a miscarriage due to a beating from her first husband? Or was Conrad Brisson, pictured in the boarding school pictures, her son? Still don't have an answer for that. My grandmother was a live-in housekeeper in Hartford, Connecticut when she met my grandfather. My grandfather served in World War II. He was stationed at Fort Bliss, Texas. He became an expert marksman, expert horse rider. He even wrestled while in the army. He was in the last cavalry, that is, horse soldiers. There was a baby boy, Ungerwitter, it's a cousin, who had surgery on the kitchen table. This was Otto's son. He had what they think was a hemangioma, looking back now, on top of his head. They tried to remove it. He bled to death, which is what would have happened to me if they tried to remove mine. Uncle Robert, not married, great Uncle Robert, not married, had a son, Robert, who died at 1 year, 10 months of lung fever. I looked it up. It's pneumonia. Because I'm like, lung fever. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's pneumonia. Pneumonia, as some people like to call it. Now, his brother John and his wife Sarah also lost a son named James, who died of croup at 3 years, 3 months. I mean, who dies of croup today? Oh, shoot. Hold on. Battery. I'm back, and for the first time, I've actually got the mic on. The mic attached. Now, we have Jamie Wilson. I couldn't find whose kid he was in the genealogy, because for some reason he's not listed. Was age 10, and the rumor going around the family was, in later generations, was that he fell and was in bed for a long time. And his teacher visited him, which is probably true, and he ultimately succumbed to his injuries. That's not quite what happened. He was in bed for a long time. He had tuberculosis of the spine, and yes, it's a thing. Now, here comes the weird one. My great uncle James, and his wife Margaret Brennan had adopted, James and Margaret had adopted a little girl, ironically from Waynesville, Massachusetts, which is like 5 minutes from me, named Robina Truman. Oops, sorry. And it was said in the family that her sister, Lizzie, who lived with them at one time, had adopted this little girl's twin sister, and the twin sister died at the age of 2 from a fall while jumping on the sofa. Well, not exactly. The sister was 2 years older, although the birth record indicates that Robina was a first birth. That doesn't mean a lot. I've seen birth records of people that I know had siblings older than them, including my own father's birth record, says he's a first child. Yeah, first child with my grandfather, but not a first child with my grandmother. She had 3 girls before that. But it's how it was done. And so it's not unusual. Lizzie did have a child named Mildred that she apparently adopted. And I say they adopted because I don't know if there was any paperwork done. That did die at 2 years old. And her record indicates that she was the child of the same parents as Gertrude / Robina, 2 years older. Now, I don't know, because it was said that Margaret would take her little girl up there. Supposedly Margaret was the midwife or something. That's the story that went around the family. I don't think any of it's true. I think it's gotten knocked way out of whack in the ensuing decades, century just about. So it's hard. But we know the mother died from an infection having Gertrude / Robina. And we also know that her and her brother lived with Lizzie and her husband, John Lockwood, in New Hampshire when they came to the United States. So it was actually Lizzie that knew the family. And it was actually the mother of these 2 girls that was the twin. Her and her brother were twins. So things get really messed up over the years, I'll tell you that. So don't take anything at face value. Look for the records. My great-grandmother, Delia LaChapelle Hemingway, was said to have died following an accident in the woods when her husband and sons were chopping wood and she was bringing lunch out to them, as she was deaf. Well, census confirmed that she was in fact deaf. Then we finally locate her death record in Sturbridge, Massachusetts. Sure enough, she died of a crushed head and a spine. They did in fact accidentally fall a tree on her because she couldn't hear them say timber, and they didn't know she was on her way with their lunch. They never worked in the woods again. That's when they moved to Douglas. They began working for Wallace's Lumber, and my great-grandfather, her son, began working as a fireman as well. And eventually he moved up to Manchog. But yeah, they never worked in the woods again after that. It's horrible. It's horrible to think that you killed your mother even by accident, and you and your sons killed your wife and their mother by accident. It's horrible, horrendous. And I can see why they never worked in the woods again. Yeah, these are just stories that show you that we don't know for sure. Until you see a record, you don't know. I still haven't figured out the whole thing with Lizzie and Margaret and their kids. And as a matter of fact, Margaret's son, don't know if he was really her son either, because we know she raised my father's Uncle James, and she had one named Robert and Sadie, and of course Gertrude. And we can't find birth records to prove any of them are hers. her son Robert, married his adopted sister Gertrude years later. He was a lot older than her, so they probably didn't grow up together, but it's still a little strange. Family does not like to talk about the fact that they weren't blood related though, so it's not a big deal. It's not like it's a big no-no, other than the fact that they were adopted siblings. If she was actually adopted, I use quotes because I don't know if either one of these kids was adopted or just given to them. So that's something I'd like to find out. Excuse me. So I will work on that. But I never figured out the Christensen to Cosgrove name change. There was also another name change in the family from the last name of Icky, I-C-K-E, Icky. I can't remember the first name now, to Hugh Reed. And it's like, I think that's what it was. I was like, wait a minute, that's a radical change. He came over from the UK and completely changed his name. That was bizarre. And following him out was bizarre because we found the actual name change, so we knew that Icky became Reed. What a name! No wonder he wanted to change the last name, but I don't remember what the first name was, but I-C-K-E, I kid you not, Icky. So, I can't remember the exact relationship, but he came over from the UK and completely changed his name, which thank goodness we found records of. So, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you liked the videos today. This is going to be the last one, I promise. I always try to do at least one genealogy video a day, and as you can see, I wrote this one out. There's some weird crap going on. And I will be going to a party at the end of November. However, I will not be vlogging this party as it is the birthday party of my aunt who will be turning 70. I'm going to be too busy helping decorate to vlog. Helping my cousin get the food served and everything. I offered. I don't mind. And I love my auntie. So I'm looking forward to it. So, I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day. God bless you. Please click subscribe. Please click like if you liked the video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.